Good day, peeps. It's time for another video, and this time we're going to be talking about the Necromunda reveals on the Friday, so yesterday, my time. Right, we really need to talk about this because there is some rather unique news, and there's a few bits and pieces which have changed things, at least with Necromunda and how the squats or the Votann interact with citizens of that planet. Right, we don't have the book. A lot of this is taken from the VOD or discussions in the chat and various things like that. So let's talk about the squat prospector gang that was revealed yesterday. Right, first things first is that they are squats. They're referred to as squats, and they've diverged from the Votann about 10,000 years ago. So when the Emperor was doing his thing, going around uniting humanity, a group of squat prospectors or family or a mining guild decided to settle on Necromunda to help shore up the infrastructure of the planet. They decided to stay on the planet and help with various things there, and thus they occupy a rather strange place on that planet, basically living within their crawling sand crawlers, a bit like the Jawas, but a bit more like miners instead of scavengers. There are a few other things that we can take from this. The sculpts are obviously inspired by the first squat model, especially the helmet and the visors and stuff. They look a bit like Sontarans in my opinion, and they're not bad, but they're a bit different to the Votann aesthetic we were shown a month ago, or the one we've been seen this month. Do I like them? They're okay. They remind me a lot of the old squats, and that's a good thing, but they're obviously meant for that game. You can tell where the design studio took their cues from rather than the studio that do the main lines. It's certainly not a bad thing, but there is a lot of weird differences about them. The double barreled weapons, the like one under another, the triple rounds of the like ammo feeds, especially with the bolt guns and the auto guns. They're called something very, very unique. They were referred to in the VOD as iron head bolt guns or iron head auto weapons. The triple barreled heavy stubber is also an interesting direction. I don't know if they're going to have the old rules of them being immune to carrying heavy weapons and just being able to use them normally, so they would be firing them without fire and moving them perfectly normally. So basically they have like the suppressors or the movement buff devices which enabled them to move and fire without penalty. We'll see if they still have that. I do think that they do look like miners. They're obviously very inspired by the earlier stuff. There is a few other bits and pieces about them. Right, so they're making a very distinct distinction between the Votann and the squats on Necromunda. They are very distinct. They have basically separated them in the lore. So those people who want squats to be squats, this is where you'll find them. People who want squats to be Votann, you'll find them in the main game. A couple of other things is that they are sort of semi in contact with them, but they don't talk to them very often. In my mind, when you have a population that's isolated in a community, and especially on Necromunda, they probably are like those inbred cousins that nobody really wants to talk about. So maybe that's why they're using more Imperial style weaponry rather than the Votann weaponry that we're starting to see bleed through in leaks and stuff. I will note that there is a bolt shotgun on the trike, so the bolt gun, it might not be a bad thing to bleed over into the squats on Necromunda. It's a bit weird, but it's also very, very cool how they've tried to distinguish the two distinct lines of squat and Votann into their niche corners. Right, a few other bits and pieces is that there are some neutral vehicles. The Rock Hauler, the quad from the Genestealer cult, and I believe a couple of the Genestealer cult vehicles are going to be neutral vehicles in Necromunda, as well as the Ridge Crawler, which is the sort of like land train thing, you know, the multi-layered armoured truck thing that's going to be released at some point as well. I will note that I'm not sure how that's going to work, but they are distinctly neutral vehicles, so maybe gangs will be able to either hire them or use them, much like the Orlocks are using their quads and the nomads are using their hematite flea things. So we'll have more information hopefully on the Monday or the Tuesday, where I will be able to look at some stats of the Ash Waste nomads, and I'll be able to do a little bit of a breakdown, but it won't be obviously as in-depth until we get the book, which has rules for, wait for it, the squats, the nomads, all the vehicles apparently. I'm not sure if it's all the gang vehicles or all the vehicles that are quote-quote neutral, plus the wolf quads, and plus the quads for the Orlocks, of course, plus a few other bits and pieces in that book. We'll see how it goes. I have a feeling that the squats are going to be a mid-range gang with lots of shooting, but also have quite decent armor. They did mention that they've got a very good armor save. They'll probably have 4+ armor save as standard, which is amazing for a starting gang. Plus, if they have distinct weapons that give them strength 4, especially if they, bolt guns are strength 4, and their autoguns seem to probably will have some sort of like ammo roll checks, because they probably make their own weaponry, which might give them some bonuses. Also, the leader is the only one that seems to have any kind of melee weapons, Power Fist and Power Hammer. Also, no mining equipment. Very strange for a prospector or a mining gang not to have mining equipment. Yes, thank you, Seagulls, that really helps me out. So we will see how things go in the Necromunda line and what things will happen. Of course, I will be doing some more look-sees at the books. We're going to go through that Goliath book and then the Cowdor book. It is taking me some time because there is a lot of information to decompress, and how to break it up has become quite complex, and I'm not sure where to end and where to start videos, especially in the amount of data that's in those books. And I don't want to do 50 minutes an hour of a video which will no one will really watch, because I seem to find engagements between the 10 to 15 mark. Okay, so right, thank you everyone for your time. If you could like and subscribe, that really helps me out. It really does. We are on 195 people, so if we could get to 200 maybe by August, that would be awesome. So thank you everyone. Do take care of yourselves. I'm Trix, and you're all of you. That's all the news that we have from the event. I'm a bit annoyed that there wasn't more Votann news, but of course we get what we get, and these events are always hyped up to be marvellous things, and sometimes they end up being rather a damp squib. We didn't do too badly for a Squat or Necromunda players, I think, or Votann players, I think. There was lots of chaos stuff, but it was very, very body horror, and I distinctly do not like that version of chaos. I prefer a chaos that's more inside than external, and we will go from there. There was some World Eater news, which was interesting, but no models, just some 3D renders of some chain axes, which, okay. So there we go. Thank you everyone. Once again, I'm Trix, and once again, you're all of you. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.